Good morning, guys. Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Saturday morning, which means it's time for another installment of the weekend workshop. And this week, well, my wife and I just traded in our old red Dodge for a new gray Dodge. And what do you do when you go to trade in a vehicle? You clean everything out of it. So then we get this nice new vehicle, new to us, that was completely empty. And I realized I'd been driving around for 2-3 weeks without my emergency kit in there. So I thought it was time to do an audit of my emergency kit and time to put it all back together. And I thought, what better way than to force myself to get this done than to show you guys what I use and how I do it. So hang in there. Guys, real quick, if you're new here and you want to know more about who I am, you can always run by toolmantim.co. You run by there, you'll find all my social media links, find the monthly newsletter, the weekly podcast, and the shop, where I have recommended products that I have used. They've made me money or saved me money in my handyman business, solutions to a whole bunch of problems. A lot of cool different categories there. We got household, we have hand tools, we have painting, we have preparedness items. So run by there, check that out. Anything you pick up through Amazon on those links helps to support the content I create, which I appreciate. Okay, so I told you guys we got a new vehicle. Anyway, we bought it. It only had about 6,000 kilometers on it, sorry. And after about a week, I went and, they got those key fobs with the little key hidden inside. I went to open it up. Turned out the dealership had never cut the blank. And they only sent us one electronic key. We're supposed to have two. So you can imagine, one of my biggest preparedness tips is to always make backup of keys. So anyway, I was up in the city where we bought it from the other day, and I forgot to stop to the dealership to get a second key. And would you not believe it? But the very next day, my wife was coming back from a trip. She stopped into her sister's house and locked her damn keys in the car. $70 later to a locksmith. There you go. So that is what happened. So automotive preparedness is absolutely essential. Get yourself an extra, well, two things. Number one, you want to have an extra ignition key because it's way more expensive to replace your entire ignition and have your whole car computer reprogrammed than it is to buy yourself one extra key or two extra keys. Then get a door key cut and hidden somewhere on your vehicle, just in case. Because that way, if somebody finds a key, all they can do is open your doors. They can't drive off with your vehicle. So anyway, that being said, you guys saw my grab-and-go bag recently. That's the bag that we take with us if we're going on long trips, if we're going somewhere, even if we're going, to a hotel for the weekend. We know that all of our stuff is in there and good to go. Now, what happens if, say you're away from the house and you need to bug out in your vehicle, or say you're just absolutely got to run to the school, pick up the kids and go. Never thought to pack anything else. Well, we have a pared down, bare bones, essential grab and go kit that always stays in the vehicle. Something that'll get you by for a few days. You might not be as comfortable, but it's something you never have to worry about just in case you get caught away from home unexpectedly or you have to drive away quick. So I'm going to show you what I keep in my vehicle. There's a couple items I don't have with me right now, but I keep them in a couple different sections and segments. Those new trucks have some cool storage totes down in the bottom. It's a Ram 2021, but they just don't have a ton of storage space. So everything you store is either something that's cramping up your existing space or takes away from something else. So just keep that in mind. So the first thing we do, this kit here is our absolute bare bones essential, can get us by for a couple of days on the road somewhere, showering at a truck stop or something. This is the bag. It goes into one of those reusable shopping bags, and then I wrap it up with painter's tape. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. Maybe I'll check it once a year. So all we keep in that, socks and underwear, a couple of pair for each of us, just in case. You know what? We can rewear the clothes, but you feel a lot better with a new set of gitch and a new set of socks, hey? So socks and underwear for me, the missus, and the two twin girls. Shampoo and soap, because if you're on the road, there's nothing worse than having to use soap or shampoo that you don't normally use, or worse than that, not having any at all. And then just in case, we threw in some extra throwaway shampoos that you get from the hotels. And then this guy right here. this has kind of a bare bone breakdown of what we would need in an emergency. We've got deodorant for both of us, another bar of soap, some feminine products, chapstick, because that's important, a disposable razor, Q-tips, and 5 days worth of prescriptions. So we just took 5 days, threw them in there, sacrificed them to the preparedness gods, and keep them in this bag. We've got toothpaste in there as well, a couple other toothbrushes, and that is basically it. So that all of that goes into this blue IKEA bag. I hate IKEA myself, but hey, whatever. Oh, and a hairbrush for the ladies, because, well, you know, I don't need much there. All that goes in here. Then we push it down, wrap it up, and stash it either in the cubby hole or under the seat, depending on what's needed, what kind of space it is. The new truck is basically the same, except it has a new flat fold-out board for storage, which is really kind of cool. So that is kind of the bare bones grab and go that always stays in the car. Most of this does, but that's the thing that'll get us by just in case. Now, a couple other things. I wouldn't necessarily call them life and death emergencies, but sometimes out here things can't be good. So we keep 4 bottles of water down in the cubby hole and some sort of snack. Now these aren't keto friendly, but in a pinch something will work. These are granola bars. So with us, things get cold, things get hot. I normally keep, say, some nut and fruit trail mix down in there as well. I just didn't have any when I was putting my bag together, so I thought granola bars would be better than nothing. Keep all that down in there just in case. There's nothing like a drink of water, especially if you're dry, it's a hot day, or, you know, just a snack or something to nibble on when you're nervous, or to just boost morale, just in case you happen to be stuck in a ditch somewhere, if you can find a ditch on the prairies. But that we keep. Just absolutely something that'll get you by in case things go a little sideways. A while ago, and of course, one of the concerns with everything that I have is freezing. And yeah, it's up here when it gets to minus 40, sometimes that's just what it is. So you got to kind of figure out, if you're driving, your car's warmed up, there's a good chance your water might thaw out a little bit. It might not, but that's the chance I'm going to have to take, because there's only so much room for what I can keep in my truck. But I got these 99 or 95% alcohol sanitizer wipes, so these stay unfrozen in theory, no matter how cold it gets, something to wash and clean yourself up with. Also something we keep down in the cubby hole. This is probably the item that I have used the most, other than my booster cables, for my preparedness items in the car. And that's a roll of Costco toilet paper with the center taken out, squished down, and thrown in a large Ziploc bag. That sits there till it gets down to about half, then I add another roll to it. Nothing worse than getting caught short on the side of the highway somewhere and having to run out in a farmer's field and needing to cut up a shirt or rags for doing your business. So don't forget toilet paper. I know some people never want to lean against a tree, but I am telling you, toilet paper is an essential preparedness item. Sanitation, whatever, right? Then we keep a can of sunscreen. We keep a can of bug spray, which I forgot in the house, but I get the Deep Woods 35% DEET. I know a lot of people hate that stuff, but man, that works for the Alberta bugs. Pair of gloves, just in case you got to do something dirty. I've already got it packed in, but I also keep my plug kit that you guys have seen me talk about quite a bit lately. Keep that in the vehicle. Now, I don't personally have a vehicle inflator that I keep in the car all the time. I do need to get one, but I love my Dewalt one so much that anytime we're going on a longer than 2-hour trip, I throw that underneath the seat. It's just really big and takes up a lot of real estate. So I definitely need to get one of those, but when we're taking long trips, the Dewalt inflator comes with me. Speaking of Dewalt multi-tool, that's a pair of pliers and a knife all together, plus a bunch of other things. I use that all the time, probably the third most often item used in the car. iPhone charger, we also keep one of those in that bag, I forgot to mention. And this is one that I don't keep sealed up in that bag because when it gets cold, you need to charge it more often, so I try to check on it once a month, but that's an Anker battery pack. Some extra juice just in case something happens, you're sitting in the car and you have absolutely no power whatsoever. And then also, whenever we go out for wings, I try to keep myself clean and then save the wipes. I love these little individual packages. Open them up, throw them away, you're done. And then we also keep, just in case we're traveling, some of these prepackaged forks, knives, and napkins. They're just really nice, self-contained, because what I end up finding is, say you throw in a bunch of disposable napkins and a bunch of disposable knives and a bunch of disposable forks, well then they just make an entire mess in your bag. But if they're these little Chinese-style takeout, all-in-one wrapped-up kits, at least they stay contained and together, and you never know when you're going to need a fork, especially when we travel, but we just keep a bunch in the car. Sound like an old man, I know, but you never ever know when you just might need some cutlery. Flashlight, always important, even though you have one on your phone, never hurts to have one. That one's on flash there. I don't want to show you too much, but there you go. Nice strong LED flashlight in case you got to walk after dark, just something else to keep you going. An absolute essential up in Canada. Now I normally just keep, so this is -40 stuff. You can switch out between bug and winter up here. Now, I always keep an extra jug of this under the back seat because there have been so many times over the years when I was less prepared. I'd be on a long trip somewhere and I'd run out of windshield washer middle of the night or middle of the highway, and it's like, oh, what do you do? So now I just keep the -40 stuff under the back seat. In the summer, yeah, I'll put the cheaper bug stuff in the actual reservoir, but instead of having to switch it in and out all the time, I just keep the -40 stuff there, because if you haven't lived in a cold environment where your windshield can ice up like that, this stuff can be absolutely essential and a life-saving tool sometimes. So never get caught without one of those. One other tip that I've got for you, it's one of them do as I say, don't not as I do sometimes, but I do try to keep an extra windshield wiper underneath the back seat as well. I don't have one for this new truck yet. I'm going to add that. But also be comfortable with changing out windshield wipers, because you never know if you're in a drop dead. Of course, they're going to break when you need them because you're using them, and that's when they break. But if you're in an awful downpour of a storm and you end up breaking a windshield wiper and you're 50 miles from the next gas station, it'd sure be nice to be able to pull over on the side of the road, change that out in 2 minutes, and be good to go. So, another tip. Now, these guys right here, I'm not going to lift them up. These are heavy. These guys take up the most real estate of anything, but they are worth it. Those are you've seen me recommend these booster cables before. Those right there take up their entire under the floor cubby behind the driver's seat. But I use them more often for other people than I do for myself. But when you have a good set of booster cables, these are 25 feet or 30 feet long, I can't remember. They're 1 gauge, they're never going to melt, they're never going to heat up on you to the point where they're unsafe. And you can boost somebody by being parked behind them with your 4-way flashers on. So say you got to go out, you meet somebody on the interstate, and you need to pull up behind them, boost them. They have no hazard lights. You can park behind them with your hazard lights on, run your 25 feet of booster cable up to them, and boost them while parked behind them, keeping them safe, keeping you safe. But that is absolutely the item that I use the most, maybe. I've probably said that about 4 things. There's about 4 items in here that I use all the time, and then most of them are just in case. All right, so I hope that kind of helps. I'm going to pack all this up. I'm going to take it out to the truck, put it in its spot, show you where we keep it, and then we'll wrap up. So I'll show you where I keep everything, just to give you some ideas. The items that we grab the most, along with the tape measure and a pen, of course, my multi-tool, my flashlight, my wipes, and my cutlery. Keep that all in the front armrest because that's the type of place we need to grab and go with it. Now, come around back. This new truck is a little bit smaller for space. Not super keen on it. They got this flap thing in here, which, I don't know, I think it's for flat storage and whatnot, but so we're able to get the blue flat pack bag down there. Had to put the wipes there because this guy is a little bit tight, but he'll absolutely fit. So just push him down in. And just that down so it'll latch. And we're good. Set it and forget it. Squeeze. I think these bins are maybe just a little bit smaller. Now there is a liner in there that I could have taken out, but that's okay. So these come down now, which is kind of cool. And I always find, even when we used to pack it down, there you go. Once you put the heavy seat on it, it's fine. So there are the booster cables, made to just barely fit in there, I think. And then it's just a matter of shutting the whole thing off. Oh, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. it was a way to force me to get this done because I'd been procrastinating for a little bit and I really wanted to show you guys what it is that we keep in our vehicle. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.